So whatever happened to Truth Contest? You remember Truth Contest? That website that aimed to find the universal truth? Whatever happened to that site? It used to be poppin'. Like most people, I discovered the Truth Contest from being on YouTube and watching classic rock videos. People who were part of this truth movement would spam these comments like crazy. They'd say some deep stuff and then say, visit thetruthcontest.com to learn more. So, being interested in this sort of philosophical banter, I visited truthcontest.com. In essence, this website was supposedly created by a few college students out in California, with a goal intended to find the universal truth in life. This wasn't necessarily a contest with a winner, but this panel of college students would choose the best entries they found on what people thought was the universal truth in life. They usually kept the top 3 entries on top of the site. Now with a contest like this, you'd expect a lot of entries to be on that site, right? Wrong. This old dude named Michael Smith went hardcore on this contest. He wrote a feature-length novel on what he thought was the universal truth in life. This novel was titled The Present. He also wrote a sequel to The Present called The Present with Religion. This sequel was about 3 times the size. Now this dude wrote hundreds of pages worth of philosophical content, and I suppose the moderators thought he was deserving of the top spots on the site. So Truth Contest was notoriously known for the present works, as these were the only 2 works displayed on the site for the majority of the time the site was up. So I read both of these books. And what was the Present series all about? The gist of The Present is that there is a force of energy that manifests this reality called the collective unconscious. Now we can reach the collective unconscious when we turn off our minds and open up our souls to the present moment. And through experiencing the present moment, we will encounter the truth. Now the author Michael Smith also alluded to many other ideas, including the spiritual perspective of evolution and reincarnation going hand in hand, as well as how truth has been brought into our modern society through figures such as the Beatles. He compared the Beatles to prophets, which seemed kinda weird, but he made a pretty detailed argument outlining why he thought that. Now the sequel, The Present with Religion, had the same idea, but just alluded everything to a metaphor in Christianity. For example, there's an energy that manifests this reality called the collective unconscious, aka God, and we can reach the collective unconscious when we turn off our minds and open up our souls, aka follow in the ways of Christ, to thus reach the truth, aka heaven/eternal life. Of course, we can see these ideas recurring in our New Age pseudo-spiritual culture we live in. However, way back in 2012, when I read these books, I was blown away. I'd never heard ideas presented like this before. I'd never heard concepts such as reincarnation and evolution going hand in hand. I'd never heard ideas about finding the truth through the present. Although they may have seemed simplistic, this was an extraordinary introduction to deep thinking. Now the thing about turning off the mind is probably what shocked me the most. Why would we turn off our minds? Is it thinking good? What about the whole Rene Descartes, I think therefore I am quote? Of course, one of the premises of the present was that you're not your mind, you just have a mind. But turning off the mind? Wasn't the mind what led us to these deep thoughts in the first place? Michael Smith argues that it was not the mind, but the soul that can lead us to the present. After reading The Present series, I went on to read a plethora of other philosophical and transcendental texts, all with somewhat similar outlooks on this. One of which was The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, which presented a much more realistic outlook on the value of the present moment. So after thinking about it this week, I went on truthcontest.com to check out these books once again. But if you go on truthcontest.com right now, there's nothing there. So what happened to the site? Where did these books go? Who is Michael Smith? I went on Truth Contest's Facebook page and Apparently a few years back, Michael Smith had passed away. Now the admins of the page said that not everything in the book that was true then is true now. So with that, the admins posted some updates to the book. These updates dealt with a new way of examining the soul. Seems suspicious? The present made quite an impact on the deep thinking community, but not everyone was a fan of these texts. People have made posts outlining the spam behind this truth movement. Perhaps this is why we saw so many Truth Contest YouTube comments. Now I read about this truth movement on truthcontest.com, and apparently this movement was to help spread the truth around the world. What's that mean? What's it mean to spread the truth around the world? The truth wasn't even clearly defined in the present. The text just said, open yourself up to the present, and you'll discover the truth. Of course, it said much more than that, but if you want the final answer of what the entire book comes down to, that was what it was about. Others have reported emailing this Michael Smith guy, criticizing and questioning some of his passages in the present. Now, despite his ironic ill feelings towards dogma, Michael Smith would not budge on any of their ideas. These people would then report getting numerous emails asking them to donate to Truth Contest. Some have called this a pyramid scheme. Now I can't see how it's a pyramid scheme, but it does have the attributes of a scam. But the present books did have some good value. These texts made an excellent springboard for jumping into deeper thoughts. They were worded in such a way that even a child could understand it. And that's what made them so notorious for those who enjoyed philosophy. For people who just recently had a godsmack or a spark of introspection, these texts were exactly what they were looking for in discovering meaning in life. So despite the value that the present had, why did it have such a shady administration behind it? Well, the present was a work of art. It was a book, and I didn't know anything about the administration behind it. I just read the book, and it had value to me. There's no evidence to prove that Michael Smith is a real person. There's no evidence to prove that those who created this truth movement wrote this book. All I know is the present was an iconic text in my life, and the people behind this truth movement tried using this text in some unethical ways. Does the present hold a special place in this universe like so many say it does? Or is it just another assortment of pseudo-spiritual ramblings? You decide for yourself. Now that the website is down, how can we find this text now? I dropped a link on where to read the entire text in the description below. And if you think that sounds ridiculous, I also dropped a link on where to find the entire text to The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. If you know any more details about the present, the Truth Contest, or this Michael Smith name, drop a comment below. Let's try to figure this out. Let's try to find the ultimate truth.